That's bad. I mean, मैं अच्छा इतना कुछ खेला भी नहीं हूँ उसमें तो. साला साला रिंग ऑफ फायर कर दिया हो तुम। क्या किया जाए? नहीं करने का।
till you see this.
It's fantastic.
यार मैं बैठ हेलो। ओए मैं जिंदा हूँ, मेरे को नहीं पता था। मारना था, मार दी। यार मेरे पुराने व्यूअर्स है ना, सारे धोखा दे दिए मेरे को। मैं भाई बीच से स्ट्रीम करने आ रहा था तो भाई पकड़ लिया। क्या किया मैं? यार मिस कर दिया भाई, ये वो खुद हिल हो जाएगा। ओए यार मेरे को यार रियलाइज ऑलमोस्ट हो गया था वो। वाह बेटे, चलो मार तो नहीं रहा एटलीस्ट। वाह यार बच गया। क्या डॉज यार गेम क्रैश हो गई मेरी, व्हाट द फक। यार ये तो गलत हो गया, व्हाट द फक, अचानक ये ऐसा कैसे हो गया। 2 मिनट भाई। यार क्या ऐसे टाइम पे हुआ है। बट ठीक है, मैं वैसे भी उसको शायद नहीं हरा पाता, लग तो नहीं रहा था मैं वो। Holy shit यार। ओ मेरा वापस वही से कंटिन्यू हुआ। डैम, मगर मेरे हेल्थ तो कम है क्या। नहीं, वहां से कंटिन्यू नहीं हुआ है। क्योंकि मैं अभी भी स्टांस चेंज नहीं कर पा रहा हूँ मेरा, तो इट्स द सेम थिंग फ्रॉम द वेरी बिगनिंग। बट मेरा हेल्थ ऐसा क्यों है। नहीं याद रखना, ये थोड़ा मैं भूल जा रहा हूँ ये वाला। ध्यान नहीं था मेरा, नहीं कर रहा बढ़िया हो गया तो अब देखते हैं। क्या लगता है? यार मार डालेगा ये तो अपने को। लॉल अरे क्या हो गया? क्या नसीब है भाई उसका। एक और है। अरे यार अरे 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 मैं गलत क्या कुछ क्या क्या? मैं समझा नहीं वो क्या हो गया यार। तो गलत हो गया, जल्दी हो गया मेरा डॉज ये। हाँ अरे अरे मैं डॉज किया वो। वाह गजब है भाई ये तो। मरना ही था ये तो, इसमें तो मरना ही था। ये तो भाई कितना मतलब अलग ही है। इसको ऐसे भागते हुए भी नहीं डॉज कर सकते मेरे को, मतलब डॉज ही करना है ऐसा, बी दबाना ही है ऐसा। तो इधर नहीं जा सकता। ओए यार नाइस। अरे यार हल्का सा मैं टॉस नहीं यार, मैं हील होता तो ऑफ कोर्स बच जाता था, बट भाई मेरे को नहीं हील होना था, नहीं मन था, मेरे को बचा के रखने का था यार। मैं भी हाफ हूँ, वो भी हाफ है। नहीं अरे यार, इसकी ऐसी की तैसी। बढ़िया। आजा आजा इधर आ भाई, बाहर नहीं। क्या मारा हूँ ये तो भाई, ये तो पूरा कैलकुलेटेड वाला था स्काईफॉल भाई, क्रेजी था वो तो, सही था। ये भी ओ भाई, मारो सालो। Get down. आजा मार, बढ़िया। ओ ये 3000। अब मेरे को रॉक सॉलिड यूज करने का ज़्यादा। बच गया। अच्छा मारा। वो रॉक सॉलिड के लिए रुका था अपने, इसके लिए मस्त टाइम किया उसमें भी। वाह बेटे, बच गया। मार दे भाई, बढ़िया। ठीक है ठीक है ठीक है। करना होगा। नहीं नहीं हो पाता। नहीं भाई क्या है ये? मार भाई नीडल उसको। बच गया। नहीं जी जी भाई आज तो गेम खत्म करना है। देखते हैं। और वो छठवा रे लेकर ओए भाई क्रेजी।
You must have heard tales about him. Some say he helped Tung Monk fetch the scriptures, was granted Buddhahood, and stayed on Mount Lingshan thereafter. Some say it was not him who was granted Buddhahood. The real him was already dead on the journey to the west. Some say that the journey never happened. He is nothing but a monkey who lives in some storyteller's tall tale. But now, you will hear a tale which no one has ever known.
क्रेजी है ये तो भाई। गेम खत्म। अरलोंग को भी तो मारने का अभी। सारे चाइनीज बंदे देख रहे हैं नाम कितने सब है, सारे चाइनीज है। लू येन शेन डोंग जोंग तियान वेन वू यू हु जियान जैंग लैन, बाप रे बस चाइनीज बंदे हैं इसमें है। गेम भी चाइनीज ही है वैसे। बट सही था भाई गेम, वर्थ इट, मजा आ गया। अभी अरलोंग को कैसे मारेंगे वो देखने का। मुझे अरलोंग को मारना है। अब अरलोंग को कैसे। क्या करूंगा, यूट्यूब पे देखना होगा उसे।
Ask me, this rock must be the stone egg towards Wukong. I gave it a knock, nothing happened. Maybe you should have a clue.
बट वो माइंड उसका तो उसको तो डिफीट कर दिया अपन ने। अब क्या, अरलोंग को कैसे मारा जाए। ये तो उसी से लड़ना हुआ ऐसा है।
Inside the Content channel, and in this video I'm going to show you what to do after completing the game Impact with WUKONG. Now after completing the game, players will have two options. The first option will be to continue the story, which essentially just puts you back into the game from where you left off, which will be before you complete the story. So you'll be able to go back to different areas and complete side quests you may have missed, collect items that you may have missed. Now the second option is going to be to enter into a new cycle, which essentially is the New Game Plus of Black Myth. What the New Game Plus entails is that you'll start the game away from the beginning of the story, but you'll keep a lot of the items that you collected from the previous run. I would say that the only items you don't get to keep are the key items, as those are used to actually progress the story, so that's why you do not get to keep them from your previous run. Now the things that you'll keep from your previous run of the game will be all your levels, your spirit skills that you unlock, your talent and talent levels you unlock, your armor and armor upgrades, your weapons, spells, transformations, the vessels that you've collected, and all the relics and the relic bonuses.
But I still don't have that relic.
There will also be a few new features in New Game Plus. Firstly, being that enemies will deal more damage as well as have more health to them, which makes the game a little bit harder, considering New Game Plus is supposed to be a little bit harder. Now, another thing is that the will and XP you gain will be increased as well in New Game Plus, and this will make it so that you get sparks a lot faster, and in turn will make it so that you can upgrade your character more frequently. Another cool feature of New Game Plus is that if you go to the shrines and you go to craft, you'll see that you'll now be able to upgrade armor at the shrine, whereas before you had to go to the Scroll area and go to the blacksmith vendor in order to upgrade armor. So this is quite a nice addition to New Game Plus. Another thing about New Game Plus is that now there will be 3 new weapons that you can unlock in New Game Plus. The first being the Stormflash Longstaff, which will fall under the first tree right over here. And as you can see, it has an attack of 140 and a critical hit chance of 9%. Its unique effect is that it draws thunder while charging and inflicts thunder damage with every staff attack when in shot state. Now the next staff that you'll get in New Game Plus is the Dark Iron Staff. This staff has an attack of 110 with chill resistance of 5 and burn resistance of 5. And its success allows you to do is, because you're getting sparks more frequently, you're able to upgrade your tree more than normal. And my staffs that you have the relics. Your second New Game Plus, you're going to have 2 options that you can choose from with 6 relics. Now, if you go into New Game Plus,
But I still don't have the 6th relic. मैं मगर वही तो उसके लिए, इसीलिए तो मैं इससे लड़ा. मैं क्या बेवकूफ है क्या? अब मैं इससे थोड़ी लड़ते बैठूंगा फालतू वापस. ए भाई ने नो नो प्लीज नो, मार दे भाई मेरे को आके. मेरे पास 6th relic उसको मारने से मिलेगा, मेरे को लग रहा है. अरलॉन्ग से मेरे को लगा यही होगा. ले मार दे भाई. I still don't have the 6th relic. मेरे को वो relic चाहिए.
I'm gonna explain everything that you should do in order to unlock this. So, chapter 1, 2, 4 and 5. Remember those chapters. So, unlock the secret areas that you are watching right now on the screen. 1, 2, 4 and 5, and also defeat all the bosses from those secret areas. But don't you worry if you don't know how to unlock those chapters. I'm gonna put some videos, some links in this video description with every single one of them, with the complete guide of how you can unlock those areas and how you can defeat all those bosses. Now, this will be your first thing that you should do. The second thing, and very, very important, you don't want to skip this because you're not able to unlock that really, is to go to chapter 3. And right there in chapter 3, there's gonna be a quest. Also with that quest, I'm gonna put the link in this video description. That quest name is the Treasure Hunter quest line, and you have to complete all that. Step 1
finally made it. Chapter 6, the Instant 1, secrets can be found.
चैप्टर 3 तो कर लिया है मैंने आई
We'll
गेस.
start with one of my favorite secrets in this entire chapter. Along the lightning dragon, he'll be attacked by the Macau chief and end up in the Pagoda realm. But is actually first we'll need to defeat Ria before he'll part with the secret Ria. Once defeated, he'll claim the spirit and increase damage. Yeah, and that involves the whole chapter 3 secrets video that with the long scales it use both claw and now have an option called Request Medicine, does expand without the need. There you can create and flow, a new transfer. It's heading in the right direction. You'll defeating it, you'll see a green tier and snake, thus triggering a cinematic. Lore-wise, there's something going on between the turtle and the snake, but I genuinely, this might be one to get around that limitation, the shrine and towards those shepherds. He'll tell you he's a when used the forest of felicity of Karuk until your keeper shrine now. Spell stick will be able to communicate faster, so found on the point uses the first tower up. You'll see a deck moderately, which has 48 unused. The spirit summons a ginseng link. Finally, before leaving this area, you can head behind the tower and pick up Jade Essence, arguably the most potent drink in the game, not only granting you 36% health back, but also a moderate amount of mana. This is a game changer during progression and one of the simplest ways to restore mana during combat. Now a quick little secret here, and his tentacles, I used Hoarfrost throughout all of chapter 4 and I love this transformation, so go kill the boss and reap the rewards. The final major secret in chapter 3 is really just a precursor to something much, much bigger. At the Snow-Veiled Trail Keeper Shrine, you'll want to head away from the shrine and head to the right of this area. Cross the bridge and make your way up the hill and you'll reach the Great Pagoda. Guides already out there revealing the secret ending, but of course, if you want us to cover that, leave us a comment down below. So there you have it.
चैप्टर 3 हो गया. चैप्टर 4 के देख लेते एक बार.
The first thing we need to talk about are talismans found throughout to me, and while I am sure it'll be addressed at some point, it doesn't feel great being locked out of the secret. Anyways, carry on. For the first seal, we'll head to the Verdura Bridge, meaning that I have the stone statue Keeper Shrine. This found closest to the relief of the fallen long. Head to the left of the shrine and back into the mountain. Head left when the path splits and climb the slope until you reach the top. There, you'll see the third shrine. At this point, you'll need to progress through the rest of the chapter to reach the Court of Illumination. Once there, you'll want to take the path directly in front of the Keeper Shrine. Pull the fourth talisman in a cinematic roll and you'll
इधर मैं नहीं गया था. मेरे को नहीं आइडिया, ध्यान नहीं है. शायद नहीं गया हूँ. हाँ, नहीं गया हूँ मैं. वही तो मेरे को आगे भेज दिया उसने स्टोरी में ही. ठीक है.
by the Supreme Inspector. This fight won't last long because you'll be interrupted by a second creature, call out the boss, and eventually everyone will just leave, allowing you to claim the Celestial Notary Pill.
एक फाइट है अभी मजेदार वाला, मजा आएगा.
So to kick us off, we want to start at the upper hollow.
यहाँ पे नहीं गया हूँ. Do I have any sparks? एक ही है. मैं इधर आया था, नहीं आया था. I cannot recall and I want it. यहाँ पे है वो दिख तो रहा है पर्पल बट क्यों नॉट एबल टू डू ओके हाँ मैं ये तो कर लिया हूँ मैं तो ये कैसे यूज करूँ मैं इधर उसके लिए मेरे को पहले वो तीनों हटाने गए और क्या है बाकी तीन निकाल तो दिया हूँ मैं मेरे को लगता है तो मैं क्या बाकी रह गया जो
You're simply gone. In fact, this happened to me, and while I am sure it'll be addressed at some point, it doesn't feel great being locked out of the secret. Anyways, carry on. For the first seal, we'll head to the Ritter Bridge.
Yeah, I guess.
Past the Keeper Shrine, across the mossy bridge, and head to the left. When you reach this stone bridge, jump down and head through the chasm. This will eventually lead you to an area with a scorpion prince enemy that I highly recommend you defeat. This will grant you his spirit as well as a soak that'll have some interesting build potential later on. Head past all the shacks and head up the stairs, and you'll see the stone statue glowing with
ना इस तरफ नहीं जाना है यार अब ये इधर ओके एग्रो नहीं है मेरे पे सही है फिर यहाँ आया फिर यहाँ से मैं यहाँ आया तो यहाँ से तो ये निकाल दिया है ना फिर नेक्स्ट कहाँ बोला है वो
Interacting with it will trigger a cinematic with one of the spider systems. The second talisman can be found near the Limbo.
ये हो चुका है मेरा भाई मैं ये भी कर चुका हूँ कहाँ जाऊँ अब मैं
Keeper Shrine. From here, simply turn right. The stone statue is there in a small body of water. Pull the talisman and you're 2 down to go. Talisman is from Keeper Shrine. From here, simply turn right. The stone statue into the mountain. And once there, you want to take the path directly in front of the Keeper Shrine. Pull the fourth talisman in a cinematic roll and you'll be confronted by the Supreme Inspector.
ये भी निकाल दिया मैं देख लो भाई बाकी क्या रह गया उधर जाना है इधर नहीं किधर जाओ लूंग के उधर जाने का अभी फॉलन लूंग
Once there, you'll see the third shrine. At this point, you'll back into the mountain, and left where the path splits, until you reach the top. There, you'll see the third shrine.
यार मेरे को फाइट नहीं करना है, प्लीज इग्नोर। और भी ये सीक्रेट कंप्लीट करने का है। ये यहीं पे तो है वो। कर तो दिया हूँ मैं।
At this point, you'll need to go back into the mountain, and left when the path splits, climb the slope until you reach the top. There, you'll see the third shrine. At this point, you'll need to progress through the rest of the chapter to reach the Court of Illumination. Once there, you'll want to take the path directly in front of the Keeper Shrine. Pull the fourth talisman in a cinematic roll, and you'll be confronted by the Supreme Inspector. This fight won't last long, because you'll be interrupted by a second creature called...
तो ये तो हुआ ही नहीं है मेरा, मगर बाकी तो हो गया एज इन। एक मिनट, यहाँ पे भी पुल कर दिया है मैंने। अब वो बोल रहा है उधर जाओ, तो उधर तो है ही नहीं कुछ। डिड आई मिस एनीथिंग? पता ही नहीं भाई, क्या है ये। कहाँ जाऊँ अब मैं? अब सारे सीक्रेट्स एक बार देख लूँ ना तो समझ में आ जाएगा कि कुछ बाकी है कि नहीं। बट या मैंने वो पिल तो ले लिया है इधर जाके वैसे। एंड वो है नहीं इधर, देखो मगर ये पर्पल चमक रहा है, बाकी है ना। आजा ऊपर भाई। क्या टूट गया है क्या? आई गेस हो चुका है, बट मैं नहीं, ध्यान ही नहीं मेरे को। तो ये पर्पल पर्पल भी तो है अभी इधर। तो गड़बड़ है यार। Do I need to use anything over here?
Eventually, everyone will just leave, allowing you to claim the Celestial Notary Hill to the chest right inside the central building. Next, we're going to tackle the chapter's biggest secret, the location high up in the mountains. But to get there, we first need to scour the depths of Wet Hollow. So to kick us off, we want to start at the upper hollow from the ceiling. I highly recommend you don't fight anything here, as you'll just end up wasting time for not a whole lot gained. At some point, you'll come into a more open area, and be careful here, keep heading deeper into the purple here. Don't waste your mana and focus on this, as it's just a precursor to the future, and him until he missed along the way. Eventually, you'll turn left once you see a large slope, and removing more of this grotesque on the cave wall. That feels serene. This is actually...
Catch rainy season deals with Agoda. Download Agoda app now.
Which increases your damage bonus by 1. You end up with a treasure chest. If you head to the right side of this area, you'll eventually find the balance of the deity's abode, Keeper Shrine. This is strategically placed right outside of Boss Arena. Nobody what a fight this is. Head up the stairs, you'll see a giant scorpion that is as poison you can feel lethal.
Once defeated, keep following the road, and eventually it'll meet up with the pathway you've traveled before. And there, at the intersection, guarded by one through this sequence, we'll ask you to find 8 and deliver it. We'll translate join us, which allows us to change the top or back out almost all of your major damaging moves in Phase 1, and really internalize the mechanics. That way, when you get to the murder Phase 2, you burn the boss down as fast as humanly possible. Once you defeat the boss, you'll receive a number of rewards, including the chapter. The vessel can also be activated in Phase 2. I defeated it with blood, which removes any poisons. Finally, you'll receive the Dusk Veil support crafting material, which you can take back to Yin Tiger in Zodiac Village to craft the Iron Form of Hell. If you don't know who Yin Tiger is, I highly recommend you check out our guide video teaching you exactly how to unlock Zodiac Village. Now we're going to take a big step back, all the way to Richter Ridge, one of the first Keeper Shrines in the chapter. When you get close to this spot, the cinematic will play, and one of the Spider Sisters will hit Soap, which massively grants some burn resistance for a slow but heavy. Take this back you most likely received during your travels with the Web Hollow. You need 3 of them in total, and you can randomly get these as drops by rolling over the smaller cocoons found throughout the entire zone. Feed the worm, and then rest. Repeat these steps until eventually the worm is gone, and you can claim its spirit. Your secret in Chapter 4 is actually one we come understand. Destined ones, we are back with the 5th installment of Black Myth WUKONG. We'll start at the very beginning of Chapter 5 at the Ashen Pass 1 Keeper Shrine. Progress along the linear path until eventually you reach a sort of ruins area. You'll come upon a large battle with giant ox enemies fighting undead enemies. Take them all out, and eventually the only one left standing will be the Pale Axe Stalwart boss. Talk to him, and he'll reveal a short walk. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Take out this first card boss and rest at the Keeper Shrine. If you rest at the Camp of Seasons Shrine, you can head back down the stairs and you'll find the Ox Captain in a slightly different location. Talk to him again and exhaust his dialogue options. You'll continue shipping.
Oh.
About the cards and basically task you with their destruction. Now, a small note here, it doesn't matter when you talk to this NPC again. You can choose to do it right after you kill the brown iron card, or you can wait, like I did, until closer to the end of the chapter. The goal here is just to get the NPC to move to a second location. As you progress through Chapter 5, you'll run across a few other boss cards. The next will be the Gray Bronze card, and this is a fight that will take place in a narrow chasm. I actually really love the environmental changes that Demon imposed on the players here, and thought it was a nice way to break up these repetitive encounters. The third card we won't encounter until after the Emerald Hall. Head up the mountain, and eventually you'll reach the Crimson Silver card. If you progress the Vanguard Captain's dialogue up until this point, he'll actually join you in the fight. Sadly, I didn't know this was a thing when I actually did the quest line, so in my case, he's just standing there complaining about how I didn't leave him anything to smash with his axe. Talk to him and exhaust his dialogue options again. Now it's time for a bit of a hike. The goal is to reach the Fallen Furnace Crater. This is closer to the summit of the mountain, and it'll require some progression through the main part of the chapter. Instead of heading up towards the final boss encounter, we'll actually want to head backwards, and sadly, this is the closest Keeper Shrine to our destination. Make your way all the way back past where the giant spike ball gauntlet was, and eventually you'll come to a split in the path. We're gonna head left here and keep moving until you eventually reach the Cooling Slope Keeper Shrine. There are some other secrets here that we'll discuss, just not yet. You'll want to bring your concentration. Keep heading downhill from the Cooling Slope Shrine, and eventually you'll reach the rusty golden carbon counter. The cinematic is a bit heart-wrenching as you witness the Vanguard captain getting tossed like a bag of potatoes, but you know the risks. This is easily the most challenging of the cart fights. It really requires some skill to overcome. I wouldn't say it's the hardest boss in the game, but it'll take you a few tries to figure out the moveset and adjust to the massive arena. Once defeated, you'll receive the Flame Orb Curia, which moderately increases your burn resistance, something into this area. For whatever reason, the Vanguard captain wasn't there when I defeated this boss.
यार कुछ सीक्रेट्स है अभी भी बट काफी है बहुत
Final
सारे हैं
time in Beach Waves. All defeated, you can beat them both and turn right, fight the boss Top Pig's Bottom and Bottom Pig's Top. Come to Curio, White Seashell, because you'll be progressing through the online first. Of course, I won't reveal King's Iron damage for all burn. With the final King's other two pieces needed for the set, you'll need to run the Beach Wave attack and add about 70, because it really didn't make his quest line. For the sake, you'll arrive at the Shrine. It was the third time we meet Matiam. Head down the big stairs, get ahead, and here where he'll chapter 4 Matiyama can be found shortly after until you reach a large entrance Keeper Shrine. You'll need to use some medicine or the jump. Interacting with it now will yield nothing other than some contextual lore. But I'd be lying if I said my beach boss you'll be able to pull the whip from the cart containing the Ninja Attacks Thunderbait. It's a quick once the fight is over. Let's go claim our prize. Head back to the cart here at the Valley Entrance Keeper Shrine, and this time you'll be able to pull the whip from the cart containing the Dark Thunder transformation process. This allows you to turn into Matiyama for a short time. As you attack with this whip, you'll become powered and you can activate Lightning Infusion, which gives your attacks Thunderbait. It's a great transformation, one I enjoy using towards the end of the game. Before leaving the Valley Entrance area, there's one small thing you need to do. From the cart where we acquired Matiyama's transformation, head back out towards the main area and take a left. Follow the lava flow all the way down and you'll see a Turtle Treasure Spirit enemy as well as a Jeffrey boss's unique effect. The first crystal, those are the guys who help. Be careful fighting in the lava and lean on medicine or that cord I mentioned earlier to alleviate damage. The second Flint Vanguard will be found on the waypoint and look for the patch on the ground area. Kill a bunch, and eventually you'll have to murder down as that third stone stack. Let's head to push significant percent of the number of the Ring of Fire in this Zodiac Village. There's 3 people. This is, for starters, you get the Earth Spirit Cat headpiece, which has 26 defense, 50 There is a secret ending that you can only achieve by going through very specific steps and going through very specific quest lines after you completed the game. I'll be going into more detail.
ओह अब इसके लिए मेरे को जाना होगा वाटरमेलन फील्ड है वो नहीं नहीं लॉन्जिविटी रोड है वो आई गेस यहाँ पे तो नहीं है पगोड़ा में भी नहीं है
All this in this longer video, so you can actually go through the steps as quickly as possible while also not missing any. It's a minute, so let's get into it.
Let's start in chapter 1 where you define the follow path that I'm showing you here on the screen, because it's going to take you to a small mini boss fight that you have to complete. First, follow you into this boss fight, which is so just keep that in mind. This location yet. In that plays with a bunch of you found, you progress through this level, through the mini boss that I'll be talking until you get something that you get to see. Another, of course, spawn point. My opinion, fine. I know you've already got to this. You need to make it where hanging out helps, and it's very gotten after the rest that is glowing. Basically saying, they'll show you the temple where you can see the chain loaded. This used to bring up to 2. It's a lot harder, but it makes it that first get that card, which you interact, have to do signify that you can go through this particular to do it. All you have to do is short for the more of the location that some of the headed in a certain direction up into the run into complete this. You'll move on to level. Now getting to this particular boss is from there, if they recommend just beside it, maybe one aim at it, take a hill with a bunch of food, and all you have to do is keep hitting it until you be able to get to the temples around here, and of course be your endpoint. You keep final secret area. Other enemies on this lower area of this first section of chapter 5 conversation with you. If you can't interact with him right away after you do defeat him, make sure all the other enemies on this lower area of this first section of chapter 5 are defeated. That will allow you to actually interact with him. Now the conversation you have with him is pretty straightforward. First card that you're looking for is actually just up the hill where you're actually talking. And this very first card is very easy to defeat. There is also a ledge above the card that you can jump onto and get behind this card to make this fight even easier for you, but defeat this card any way you want to. And let's move on to the second card location. For the second card, progress the game until you get the height of Ember, Woods of Ember, fast travel. From here, you're going to need to continue on the main path of this particular chapter. You're going to very quickly get interactive with a boss that is going to be blocking a pair of doors. Once you defeat the boss, you can now go through these doors. Once you're through these doors, you're very quickly going to be attacked by the next card that we're looking for. Now, there's 2 ways to actually get down to this card. One is actually going through the whole cave system, defeating a bunch of enemies and going the long way. Or if you have enough health, you can actually jump off the bridge right in front of the card. Either way, it's up to you. Now, actually defeating this card is not very hard. The only annoying factor of this fight is the narrow path that you have to fight it on. Outside of that, once you defeat this card, we can move on to the third location. You can find the third card in the Furnace Valley, more specifically the Valley Entrance Fast Travel Point. Now, something to make mention is that you don't actually need to fight this particular part. It's actually already going to be defeated. I like putting it here so you don't get confused that this is one of the 5 that you need to fight. So the easiest way to look at this particular card is that it is already defeated. You don't have to do anything. Though the person that's inside the card is part of a much longer quest line, which I'll have a video on as soon as I can publish it. But again, count this as a defeated card, and let's move on to the 4th location. Now, this 4th location is actually impossible to miss because it's right after you go through a main boss battle inside of this chapter. So all you have to do is defeat that boss, which you have to do anyway to progress. And go up the hill to find the Crimson Silver Card. Once again, this card is not going to be all that difficult, though he is going to be a little bit stronger than the first 2 cards you actually had to fight, so keep that in mind when you're going against this boss. Once this card is defeated, you want to interact with our bull friend once again. Now, if he isn't here, you may want to go and reload the area, rest, save, and come back to this particular point, or you may need to go back to the beginning of the
क्या कर रहा है ये इधर?
I tolerate no evil under my nose. Neither does my axe. Bring me more revenants so I can chop them up. Heed my words. The red boy's carts are nothing more than a distraction. Thinks he can outwit me. Bah, that brat. Haste and head up the mountain. We must figure out what he's planning. They are called 5-element carts for a reason. What's your tally? The entrance is secured for now. You can go first, and I'll catch up with you. The king once told me that each of the 5 cards has its own unique nature. The king once told me that each...
ना इधर तो आया हूँ मैं, फिर उधर से गया मैं उधर।
You brat! Fighting for your own pleasure. You should have spared me a cart before my axe gets rusty. I can see the king from here. Stripped of his mount and weapon. I wonder what's behind all this. What else is hidden in this mountain? I feel blind. Blind! We should find the king's mount first. The Beastly Beast is treasured by the king as his own kin. How could it simply...
firewall and also a giant metal ball that can one-shot kill you. In your first playthrough of this chapter, in this particular section that we're running through, you're going to have a giant metal ball that is going to try and run you down, and you need to jump out of its way. All you have to do is progress to the very end of this path, and the metal ball will be taken out. Now, at the same time, there's also going to be a lot of fire around this area. One particular spot that you'll be going through to actually get to the cart has a wall of fire. As soon as you take out the metal ball, the wall of fire will also be taken out. So it's a 2-for-1 deal. You know you're in the right spot when you see a giant slip going downhill. All you have to do is progress this entire area, this extra section, until you get to another fast travel. There's a lot of different stuff in this area that can easily distract you, sidetrack you, and also a bunch of different mini bosses that you can interact with and easily die from if you're not prepared. So just keep that in mind as you're watching this path. My recommendation is either take your time and defeat all these enemies, get those extra levels, or speed past every single one of these enemies to get to the next fast travel. And thankfully, when you get to this next fast travel point, it is going to be right next to where you need to defeat the final part.
यार अब मेरे को इधर से जाना पड़ेगा, यहाँ से ऐसा इधर इधर ट्रैवल नहीं कर लूँ? उधर से सेम ही चीज हो गई तो। गया हूँ, मर गया, नहीं लड़ना, आई एम सॉरी। ओके, इधर ये वैनगार्ड से लड़ लूंगा। ओ भाई कितना बड़ा, ये किधर से किधर आ गया मैं? ऐश फेस टू, ओके इधर से इधर ऐसा आता रास्ता। तो दिमाग खा जाएंगे मेरा। यार ये तो दोनों तरफ से सेम ही चीज हो गया। तो इधर से मैं नहीं जा सकता हूँ, तो उधर कैसे जाऊंगा? ओके ओके बॉन्ड रेजिस्टेंस कौन सा? है ही नहीं मेरे पास। ये रहा। 11 बज गया है यार, मेरे को सोना है अब। ओह ये क्या है? ओ चैलेंज में ये होगा। क्रेजी। ओ भाई ओके, मैं गेम खत्म कर दिया ऐसा, इसलिए क्रेजी है ये तो। तो काफी।
My king, he treated me well. To die for him I would not regret it. But I've failed, brother. Failing his mission is what I regret. My king must have done something reckless for that dumb boy. The truth, I wager, lies beyond that door. That cursed cart was no match for me. I went easy on it. That's all. Quite a good lad you are. But remember, don't be swayed. Stay true.
ओके इधर है कि एक स्टाफ मिलेगा मुझे अब क्रेजी भाई कहाँ से कहाँ आते जा रहा हूँ मैं तो भाई चलो गाइस बंद करते हैं, हो गया बहुत, आज का काफ़ी है। थैंक्स फॉर ज्वाइनिंग, आई होप यू एंजॉय द स्ट्रीम। बाय बाय।